What's up, everybody? This is MagChop Kenny. Thanks for jumping on the third rail with me today. This is the Third Rail Radio Show where the power is. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're about to jump on the third rail. It's going to be an electrifying show with Bruce Soscia's in the house. Thank you guys for joining me. Man, let me tell you, it's been a heck of a journey so far. This is the third show, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a blast doing it. So I want to jump right into it. We're going to bring Bruce right on because let me tell you about this guy, what an amazing gentleman he is. He is known for so many different films that we're all going to get into, but I'm going to tell you something about this guy. This guy is a genuinely great guy. I did a movie premiere down here, and he went out of his way to attend it. And I can tell you now that I'll never forget that. And, you know, his words to me afterwards were so encouraging me to pursue what I'm doing. It was so encouraging to me to want to go forward. And the conversations we've had have been inspiring. So welcome, Bruce. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad to have you. It's an honor to have you as the first guest on the third rail.
Oh, man, no pressure. But, man, I'm excited myself to be here, and thank you for inviting me. I feel very special to be in your presence, to be on your first show with a guest. This is dope.
Heck yeah, man. I'm really excited. And let me tell you guys, don't understand. It was a lot of coordinating to make this happen because you are flying in and out of town. You're going everywhere. You're shooting movies.
It's true.
I mean, he's an actor, he's a producer, and he's an entrepreneur. And you know, it's funny when people say that when I tell people, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh, so, you know, because they know that the struggle of an entrepreneur is real. But you are pulling it off in an amazing way.
Thank you, man.
I recently heard you on a show, and you talked about being an entrepreneur and telling people to keep their day jobs and things like that. And as an actor, as a producer, as an entrepreneur, tell me a little bit, how do you manage to balance all that?
There's no easy answer for that question, but I got to say, you know, I started from the bottom, you know what I mean? So for me, when your back's against the wall, sometimes that's when the best comes out of you. So it's all in the struggle, man. I know from a very young age that if I wanted something nice, I had to go get it myself. So I have a lot of old school, you know, family values, so to speak. I started working at a very, very young age, which kudos to, you know, our age group and generations before us. You don't see that a lot nowadays. And I'm not going to beat up on the younger guys now, but I feel like, you know, I'm actually proud that I had paper routes and I worked in restaurants and I had a lot of hard jobs at a young age and I learned the value of, you know, the grind, man. And it just, you know, at a young age, I knew when I looked at people that were super successful and I just really tried to study them and pay attention and see, you know, how can I excel? How can I exceed the expectations of, you know, a regular guy from humble beginnings? And that's been, you know, a lot of my motivation has been just wanting to be more than what I should be or what the perceived implication is for, you know, a regular guy, a blue collar guy. You know, I don't have a big education behind me and a silver spoon and things like that. And that's okay, you know, and I'm finding my way little by little. And I just had a big birthday recently and starting to get closer to some bigger numbers, and
that check engine light came on,
man. But you know, it's time for me to reinvent, and I've done it a few times in my life. So I follow, you know, I'm on a new career path where when we call ourselves entrepreneurs, you know, the acting's great, the producing's great. I love doing movies. And I really enjoy that. But like you referred to earlier, you know, as an entrepreneur, I'm always finding my way in business. What can I do to, you know, make money and excel and help other people along the way? And that's always been my motto. You know, from an early age, I opened a bunch of barbershops and you know, I had one successful one that within 1 year I just knew, man, I'm going to scale this up and open a dozen of them, and I did. And it was very hard and it was a juggle, like you said, but you know, fast forward 20 years later, now I find myself doing land development deals and real estate transactions and consulting and advising business owners and buying and selling businesses and things like that. It's a lane that I always wanted to be in, and somehow I found myself here. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I moved to Southern Florida, and some doors opened up for me that I just didn't even know were ahead of me in my path. And here I am, and
Wow.
I'm working hard, but I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the ride, man. I'm
Yeah, if
enjoying the
it's
journey.
it's not really work if you're enjoying it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still work, but
It's still work.
I'm enjoying the grind. And I really have made an effort to try to stop and smell the roses, and, you know, just literally take moments in between, and not, because I have a tendency of just working myself,
Yeah.
you know, burning the candle at both
Yes.
ends. And
That's that blue collar work
yeah,
ethic, you
man,
know?
it's wild. So, you know, sometimes I find myself in some of my, you know, close business associates where there's a couple of us where we're still emailing and calling. It's 10, 11, 12 at night, and just not done, not shutting the switch off. But I'm learning sometimes that's okay, but make sure that at some point in that day that maybe I sit in a hot tub or take a dive in the pool, or, you know, just sit outside and walk my dog. Like little simple things that I find pleasures in it. And that's how I find balance along the way.
That's, you know what, I was just going to say, because there is a title that you carry that I didn't mention, and that's a family man. This guy's a
yeah.
genuine family man. And as I am myself, and me being coming from blue collar work as well, I understand that work ethic. I know how it is to dive in and to try and balance your work and your business and everything like that. And I you know, I agree with you. What I tell people, you know, definitely if you're dedicating yourself to, definitely keep your job, have your way to make money, to keep an income until you can steadily get yourself together, because I think that's a big part of the journey.
Sure.
I think also that, you know, you touched on the hard times that you've gone through and the things that you've overcome. And I think that it's so important that people realize that all those things that happen that go bad, quote unquote bad in your life, or go wrong, man, those are lessons that are preparing you for everything that you're going to do in the future. So embrace everything that goes wrong and move forward.
Listen,
you know?
man, one of the key philosophies that I just recently learned, like a little strategy, right? Very recently. I saw it online, and it really soaked into my DNA, and I've been sharing it with all my friends, and I'll say it here today. It was something along the lines of, anytime you instinctively want to say the word problem, take that out of your vocabulary and replace it with the word opportunity. So let's role play for a second. Give me an example of where you might say, and just give me a sentence with the word problem.
I'm having a problem with my plumbing.
Okay, now take the word problem out and put opportunity, and you could say the sentence in whatever natural way comes out this time.
Yeah, I'm having a good opportunity with my plumbing.
Maybe that was an epic fail, but essentially, I think you get what I'm saying. And
I do.
Technically and typically, there is always an opportunity.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, there's a lot of lessons to be learned along the way. So a
You
lot
might
of
meet a
times
great plumber.
Yeah. It's funny because my son's a great plumber, by the way. Shout out to Brucey, little Buster.
There you
my
go,
son.
do it.
Yeah, he's
Plumbing it
a
up.
plumber. So, no, but the fact of the matter is, you know, in every aspect of life, it's all about learning. I'm never done learning. And a lot of people, they just kind of set in their ways, and we all know somebody like that in our friends group or our family, where they're just like, this is just who I am.
Complacent.
And you know what? Okay, that's okay for you, but that's not me. Me personally, I'm never done learning. I always want to reinvent. I always want to try more. I always want to explore. When I hear somebody who's more successful than me, I pay attention. I don't try to jump in and give my 2 cents. I listen and I absorb, and I take mental notes and sometimes physical notes. And that to me has been a lot of, you know, maybe the keys to some of the accolades and successes I've had is I'm a brilliant observer. I like to toot my own horn with that. I really like to pay attention to details and be an effective communicator. Like most people in life that I've encountered just don't have effective, healthy communication skills.
That's true.
Whether it's yelling, screaming, or clamming up and being quiet, you know, that fight or flight kicks in. And, you know, one of the things I've tried to learn, I'm still adopting that philosophy of just finding balance in those moments and just being an effective communicator, paying attention, listening. And I learned that from acting classes, believe it or not, really listening to what the other person, what the other actor is saying, not just forget the script. Pay attention to what they're saying. If you want to have an authentic conversation on screen, on film, really listen to what the other actor is saying and let it absorb. Don't just wait for your cue to say a line, because the camera catches that and it looks fake.
Yeah.
We've all seen examples of that on film. We're like, oh, that was...
We got a little message for
that
you.
was rough,
Bruce,
you know?
keeping it real.
What's up, Andrew? How you doing, baby?
Man, that's so true. That I agree with that so much. That you got to keep learning, keep moving forward, and keep building
Yeah,
on everything.
man.
And you've really done that. And you look at your career, what you've done. I mean, not only what you're doing now, as far as all the real estate purchase and everything, but your acting career is really been amazing so far, and it looks like it's just going further and further.
And I appreciate you saying that. And, a lot of times I have to remind myself of that because, again, that extremist part of me kicks in and it's like, it's not enough. I should be doing more. And you know what? And that's why, reflecting on what I said in a previous interview recently, it is true. Like, I don't quit my day job. I take the acting with passion. I'm very fortunate. You're right. I've had a lot of opportunities that came quickly to me, and I've done thousands of studio auditions at this point in the last probably 8 years, and maybe I landed a handful of them, and some of them were really good roles, and they were really career changing, so to speak. I got a lot of momentum from each one,
Right.
and I have those that piece, that clip to carry me forward, where people are like, wow, if they didn't see it on TV, but they did.
I mean, look at this. Look at you
see
there.
it.
You're on the cover of the box.
That's actually a really good guy, David Torres, guy from New Bedford, Massachusetts, and he's up and coming, man. And that's the thing about when we talk about the experience and the journeys and the adventures along the way. I've met so many great people in film that a lot of, like you said, a lot of people harp on the negative things that they encounter, and I've made so many beautiful relationships and friendships along the way where just sharing a common bond,
Yeah.
A lot of times it's guys like me that just kind of, got into this thing and found it. For me, it's therapeutic, to be honest. Like, I
Yes.
really enjoy when I take acting classes and with Rachel Bailett, my acting coach, Lee Strasberg Film Institute, Los Angeles. But when I take acting classes, to me, that is a moment where at first it took a while for me to open up and be vulnerable. And that's all it took. Once I actually let the information absorb and really just kind of lowered my ego and let myself be fully engaged, some magic started to happen and it became noticeable. And then I got really excited and I started being the guy in the front of the class. Can I go next? Can I help you? Can I be, your participant? Can I be the, the co-actor? And I literally found myself like, ooh, in the front of the class.
Wow.
And
Nice.
and it became a thrill for me. And then it became, translated into the roles that I got to play in early on. And I just try to bring that enthusiasm to every set, whether it's an independent film or a studio level film. Every
Yes.
opportunity, whether it's an audition or a performance, no matter what the budget is and all that stuff, that's all business stuff. And that's important and that's great. But for me, I take it all serious.
Right.
And to you local filmmakers in Florida, I didn't say it before, but I am here, living here now. I purchased a home. I made SoFlo my permanent residence. So I am available. I'm very selective, but I am available. I am still, I am flying around. I'm in LA, I'm in Atlanta, I'm in New York, New Jersey, Philly, Miami. I'm all around. I did a really cool movie in Iowa that'll be
Nice.
coming out. That's called Winter Set. Stay tuned. We're gonna start promoting that. It's been a secret for a while. Really, really, really.
Now, are we allowed to talk about
crime
who's in some
genre.
of these movies?
Yeah, that you can see that one on IMDb and click around. And if you're a good detective, you'll, I don't know if I'm at liberty to give away too much information because it's in the post edit phase and it's almost ready, but it's a really good film. And I was a co-lead. I'm kind of a big deal in the movie, so it'll be.
This guy's a big deal. I'm telling you, this guy's a big deal.
Yeah,
You got to see him on film.
It's good to be confident. I try not to be overly confident because it's easy to get that reputation. But no, I'm a very humble person, but I am very confident in my abilities and I try to share that energy.
I think there's a line that you can cross that go from
Sure.
From confident to arrogant.
Definitely.
And I think that if you're not naturally an arrogant person, that you're not going to cross that line.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And you would know when you experience that, when you meet people along the way, and it's like, oh boy, you kind of can't help but do the eye roll, like, oh boy,
Yeah,
here
oh
co-
boy,
here
look
comes
at this guy.
And
Yeah.
I could never be that guy. I'm just very down to earth, and and it's funny because a lot of guys that I meet, they'll say, man, wow, and they give like such a nice review of their experience with me, and I read that stuff and I reflect. I'm like, wow. That's flattering.
yeah.
It's nice to be validated for
Absolutely.
who you are, and I really do treat people with respect, and that again goes back to old school family values. I don't care how much money I have or someone else has. None of that stuff really matters, man. We're
Yeah.
all human beings. We're all trying our best, and be kind, man. I
Trying
say
to
it
be
all
the
the
best
time.
we can
Just-
on this side of the dirt.
yeah, man. Be kind, man. I've lost so many people along the way that
Yeah.
one of the things I say all the time is, I'm here, for my family that's here, but I'm also here representing
Yeah. Representing. Yeah. Let me tell you, you
for the
touched
ones
on
that aren't here.
for the ones that aren't here.
Sorry,
we're
I got choked
we're
up.
living. I got you, brother. I got you. We're living. We're living for them. We're living for everybody we've
true.
lost, for people that have lost their lives that we had to witness. And sometimes I would find myself thinking, man, what did I do to
Why am I
deserve
still
this?
here?
Why am I still
I
here?
say it all the time.
But we're here for a reason,
I'm here.
and this is why we're here right now to give you guys some hope.
Yeah.
But you touched on things that I wanna go back to. You said about how you were uncomfortable and you had to let your pride go and put your guard
Yeah.
down. And last week I talked about the fact that your comfort zone will kill you. I always say that your comfort
It's
zone
true.
will kill you.
It's true.
And so you also touched on the fact that you said it didn't matter the budget of the film, and although you're selective, whether it's a big budget film or a small budget film, you're still going to give that 100%.
Definitely.
And I was another thing that I had talked about, I think it was last week as well, was I used to manage singers, and so I would tell them that I don't care if you're standing on a pallet on 8th Street in Calle Ocho in Miami,
Sure.
or if you're in the Miami Arena, you give everybody the same performance because
that's what
that's
it's
your
about.
name. It's about putting
Put your passion into what you do, man. And again, it doesn't matter the venue, like you said. It's
Yeah.
and that's what reputations are built on.
Yes.
So I pride myself on that aspect. I like to show up to whatever film project I'm in. Again, doesn't matter what level. If I choose to do it, I made a choice, and I'm going to commit to give my all. And maybe that's why I have the blessings that keep coming, because my reputation precedes me in that way. So the only reason I speak like this is to inspire others. I'm not saying it to say like, oh, I'm so great, toot my horn.
Right.
I'm saying like, if I can be an example
if I
to
can
others.
do it, you can do it.
No, for real. That's definitely true, man. It's definitely true.
Definitely.
true.
I know that feeling all too well. And I
Yeah.
tell people, I said, you know what? Don't be afraid to be diverse. Don't be afraid to just go for it and say, what do you got to lose?
You got to take a risk.
You got to take a risk. Every day you leave your house, realistically, you're taking a risk, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
might
some
as well
people-
maximize your opportunity.
Yeah, your
And that's the way I
opportunities.
look
Don't
at
look
it.
at it as a problem.
And that's what I was, referring back to earlier, like literally the vulnerability, right? You
Yes.
brought that up again. So we spend our lives, especially young men, when we're young men, we're putting layers of protection and
Yes.
confidence and ego and machismo, like to protect ourselves and to defend
Yeah.
ourselves and to carry ourselves in a way where we can't be hurt.
Right.
That's what it's
right.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when I got into acting, I was actually 40 years old. So I wasn't a kid, but I had spent a lifetime of building up this layer of protection. So that's what the difference for me was when I finally, one day it just clicked. I kept going to these classes and I really saw the opportunity, but I wasn't allowing myself to engage for a few months. And I went religiously, 3-week classes, 6 weeks classes, 10, whatever,
Oh, wow.
whatever was available through my particular acting coach. I really, really enjoy the work that she showed me and shared with me. And, finally one day something she said, it was all great information at first, but then one day I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to let it loose. I'm going to let it all out. And when you're a method actor,
Yeah.
the first thing you do is relaxation techniques. I want you to Google that later. You get a kick out of it. And it's very, for someone who's never done it before, it's very...
Very uncomfortable. I
Very
would say.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would
You're in
imagine.
a room and everybody's sprawled out and you're basically making noises and breathing techniques and all this stuff. And I remember oh man, I'm peeking, I'm looking around, see who's looking. And finally one day, like I said, I just allowed myself to really give myself up to the process. And from that moment, it just was like magical, man. I just really engulfed myself in the process, and I saw the value come together in a tangible way. And I just said after that, I never doubted the work. I never doubted what I was being taught. And I found a lot of healing and a lot of pain and trauma that was in my body that I've learned how to harness it in my performances. and that in itself is like a life-saving skill.
You know what? I need that skill because, brother,
Yeah,
my
man.
knee be bothering me sometimes. And if I can make that a strength,
Well, it really is. It's an opportunity.
yeah, it's an opportunity.
It's
I
true.
get the neck. I could be the next shocker and drag my leg.
It's true. You just reminded me. I did a film. I think they're still filming it. It's been a couple years, and they do it in small segments out in LA. But it was a film about PTSD for soldiers. And
Okay.
I had an injury in my leg, and one of the things I learned, plus a little intuitiveness and creativity, I had to do the scene where I was coming home to my family, and I had, in the script, I had a leg injury. So I went outside and I found a sharp rock, and I put it in my shoe, so that when I came to the door and the cameras caught me walking in, I made sure that I matched up what leg in the script and all that. But I literally
wow.
had the pain shooting in my heel through my leg, so that my limp was authentic. Because for me, it's, one of the things I've learned is authenticity is everything on film, and
Yes, I
we're
agree.
always searching for the truth, and there's levels to that. Some people say yes, 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 and other people actually understand what that really means. And for me, it's becoming the character.
Yeah.
And that's a difference
Yes.
for me. I do enough preparation, not even just rehearsal, but more preparation and backstories, and
That is
what
so
makes my
true.
character tick. What's the backstory? Because I
Yes.
love to do improv. So if I have opportunities, especially in independent films, where I can take the script, the baseline of the script, and really give you a more impactful performance, I want to make sure I know who I am, why I'm here, where am
Right.
I, why are you here, what is your impact on my character, and there's a lot more to it. But essentially, there's a lot of little things along the way that really help build like that authentic delivery, and I just love it, man. I really enjoy those moments to share what I've learned and share what I can give and bring to the screen in my performances.
So for me, let me tell you, what I do when I'm acting is like, I feel like I just become that person. I'm that person, but I'm still me. Like I look at that. I think about what this person likes, what they don't like. Their facial expressions for certain things. I try to figure what is this person's, things that frustrate them, things that they like. What's my facial expressions going to be like? And I try to just think, okay, this is who I am now. I'm still me. But I'm just delivering the lines as this other person with this person's life experiences.
Right. And to that notion, it's very true for me as well. I spoke about this recently. I'm not getting characters that are so far-fetched away from my look, my sound, my presence. So essentially the characters I portray typically are a version of me. Or
Right.
there is, and that's why they chose me. They're not going to pick me to
Yes.
play some wimpy, skinny little
Right.
guy that is subservient, because that's not really me.
No one will believe that. They'll be like, no way.
And maybe at some point I'll, really dive deep and take on a role like that. But anybody who's creating a film, they're going to cast you in a position that makes sense. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you're hiring me because you have a character that, emulates or is
Yeah.
pretty similar to who I am in real life. So instead of overthinking it, I prepare for that particular character and what their current dilemmas are in the storyline, and I bring my version of that character. Like, what would I do if my name was Tony or so and so, and this was my life, but I have to dive into me, and that's pretty easy to be me. So, it's not, a lot of guys overthink it and they try to go too far and they get eccentric and. I don't know. To each his own.
I've seen that. I've seen people like where they
just go too
they
far.
go too far with
and then
it.
it just looks like it's almost like a mockery of the work. And it all boils down to a passion for the craft. There's levels to it. And I just have, maybe I'll just keep chipping away and have fun with this, or maybe someday I'll get that big role. That
I don't know,
changes
man.
the
Your
game.
roles are growing and
But I'm
growing
not
and
worried
growing.
about
So
it. I took the pressure off myself a while ago, and now at this point, it's more about just enjoying it. I didn't know what that meant before. When I started, I was so gung-ho, and I got to go right to the top. And you know what? At this point, I'm really just enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the opportunities. And in my daily operations, I do business and I do these other things that afford me the ability to take on these roles when I get them and put everything else on the shelf and have those moments where I'm filming tomorrow, actually, and I've been working on a film recently locally.
I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, this guy is blowing up. Everything he does is is going golden. I mean, you got a shot in The Mob King,
That was
and
fun.
boom, now it's where it could be seen pretty much
Everywhere, man.
at almost every platform.
I'm really proud of that movie, and I had a great character, in a really great
Shout out to
role.
Cyril.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Cyril. And that was an opportunity where I got to do fighting scenes and shootouts, and man, I was like a kid in a candy store. And I just felt like that was one of those things that came right at the right time for me, where I just wanted something like that so bad, and
Yeah.
it came. And I got to really dig deep and have a lot of fun with that, and it was shot well. I think it came out really well, and the world loves it. Everyone that I know that's seen it said, man, you did great, and the movie was awesome, and I've heard so many great, feedback stories and reviews. So I just hope it keeps going. It's been out for a while now.
It's a
and
very interesting movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was like, saw your parts. I was really amazed at how great it came out, because I watched so much of how it was being put together.
Sure.
I watched Cyril battle it out to make this movie happen,
yeah.
and
Hats off.
Because when you're a part of this industry, and especially in independent films, and I do want to touch on something you
hard
said
part.
about the scripts on independent films. Yeah, you do tend to get a lot more leeway with
We call it artist freedom.
little artist freedom.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that phrase.
I was always taught, as long as you're still driving the story forward and you're not just going down a rabbit hole,
Right.
It's what comes out the most authentic from your delivery. So, they're hiring you to be that character. So, yeah, the script is the baseline, and you don't want to take away from the writer, but sometimes it's like these and thous, Sometimes one comes out better than the other, and you give them what they want, and then maybe in the next take, you give them something that might be slightly different, and it's more of your verbiage or your lingo that's more natural or native to your tongue.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's the one that sticks, and the more confidence the director has in you from, their experience with you, the
Yes.
more they just back off and kind of let you do your thing, because they're like, hey, we brought this guy to bring what he brings. Let's see what he's got.
Yes.
And to me, those are the best moments.
Let me tell you,
I love those moments.
I got to experience that on Negativity, which is on Amazon Prime. So look up Negativity and go watch it. And there's a scene where I'm arguing with somebody, and we went off script because he was changing the camera angle, and so we just started like joking around.
Sure.
And the director, John Vargas, goes, you know what, guys? I want you guys to do that.
That's it.
And that's
what
how
it's
we
about.
got that.
Sometimes that's where the magic happens, man. I've had so many moments like that in different film projects where it's almost like a huddle, and it's when you're loose and you just, in between takes, and you just stop firing off.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the director's like tuned in, like, hey, wait a
Like, hey,
minute.
what are you doing here?
You know what? When we roll, give me
Definitely.
that. Give me
Yep.
that. Because that's authenticity. That's the natural instincts between characters that you just start kicking that banter, man, and that comes out better than just memorizing a script. I get frustrated when guys are like, oh, I got to memorize my script, and I'm like, I cringe, because it's to each his own. But again, for me, it's so much more than
Learn the
that.
baseline of it, learn it, and then create it.
It's really about preparation, man.
I definitely have to get you back on the show. We're already out of time. I mean, look, we've been hanging out, talking. We're out of time. So Bruce,
times.
thank you so much for coming down here. I really
Thank you, my
appreciate it,
man.
man. Tell everybody,
Anytime.
where do they find you? I mean, if you Google Bruce Sosc, it fills it in for you. But tell them your social media.
Yeah, man. It's the most I engage with is Instagram. So it's actor Bruce Soscia on Instagram, and I try to post some cool stuff and BTS shots and different celebrities I've worked with and stuff like that, and clips, and it's fun. And I have Facebook as well, Bruce Soscia. But yeah, IMDb, my stage name is Bruce Busta Soscia.
Busta.
That's my nickname my whole life in my neighborhood. So eventually, when I had the opportunity to change my stage name, I kept my name, but I threw my nickname in there. And
Nice.
I think it looks cool when it comes on the
It
credits
does.
on
It
the
does.
screen.
It
It's like,
looks
"Boo."
great. I realized I didn't put it on the flyer, and I was like, oh, I should have put
A
it.
lot of my boys from home, man, they love when they see that. They go crazy. They start blowing
yeah.
up my phone like screenshots. Like, yo, Busta.
Tell them next time I got him on the show, I'll make sure to put the Buster, man. Thank you for coming. You
No
guys
doubt.
have a great night.
Thank
Enjoy
you,
your Friday.
everybody.
Have a
Check
safe
out my
weekend.
man. Stay tuned, baby. Stay tuned. MagChop Kenny,
Yeah.
baby. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? This is MagChop Kenny. Thanks for jumping on the third rail with me today. This is the Third Rail Radio Show, where the power is. Let's go.